So I really just want you to advocate for what you need, ask tons of questions, and hopefully you'll get a lot out of this. So, is my PowerPoint going to work now is the question. There we go. So I just went over this brief agenda, but I'll go over it again. So we're going to do introductions. I know we kind of all know each other, but we'll spend a little bit of time chatting anyway. We'll do a little bit of a skater bio and kind of chat about what it is that you're hoping to get out of this. And so both for me, but also just for the two of you, so you can be on the same page and have a chance to process that if you haven't already. Again, we're going to talk about anatomy of your skate and wheels. I'm going to do a gear demo, and then we'll chat about posture, stability, and stride specific to what type of roller skating you are looking to improve on, whether that be like every form of roller skating or specific to like derby, park skating, trail skating, etc. So these are the questions I'm going to bug you with. So what is the story behind your derby name? If there is one, or if it's just like, I thought it was cool, that's my story and I'm sticking to it, that's cool too. How long have you been skating, and what do you hope to get out of the process? So those are the three questions, and I'm gonna pop off so I can see you guys.
But I need to see your questions.
Dang it. All right, we'll pop back on.
I have your screen and then I have all of us on another, so I'm okay.
There we go.
Well, dang it, Widow, you're just fancy. Okay. So
IT genius.
You are. Dang, I should have like hit you up and like, all right, IT genius. Let's make this thing work. Depending on how this goes, I might still. But so I'll go first just to kind of model what we're looking for, and then whoever wants to jump in, you can. So the story behind my derby name was I actually got recruited in a bar by some OG Southern Oregon roller girls back before it was so derby. And a couple of them, one of them being Morticia, but a couple of the other skaters have since left and moved and quit derby and whatnot, gone on to other things. Blasphemy. But they asked me like, oh, tell us something about you, because we need to like figure out your derby name. And I was like, what's a derby name, right? And they're like, oh, well, you know, tell us something. So I was like, oh, well, I was born in the UK. And immediately one of these skaters, whose name was Hollywood Hurtia, she's like, oh, your derby name's London. And so then she proceeded to introduce me to everybody as London instead of my actual name, which I was fine with at the time. But then you can't, you know, it's like I kind of got branded as London, and that became my derby name because, you know, once people know you by something, it's kind of hard to change that. So, and I was just London for the first 2 years of my derby career because I didn't know sort of what to add, or you know what I mean? It was kind of hard to be like, yeah, I'm just London, and then, but I wanted it to be something else. And then Rumbler kind of came to me because I was like, I just feel like I really like to brawl on the track. Like I'm very, you know, like I'm ready to rumble kind of thing. So that's where the second part of my derby name came from. But yes, it took me 3 years to come up with that second part of my derby name. I have been skating 11 years. Yeah, almost 12. And I'd never roller skated before I started roller derby. Like,
wow, I mean, not even as a kid.
I mean, like, I have a few memories of like going to a roller skating rink when I still lived in the UK. So when I was like little, but I was totally that kid that like didn't know how to roller skate, and I would just like throw myself at things, you know, like those dangerous kids that you hate at the rink. I was that kid that was just like, I don't know how to stop. So I don't really consider that roller skating. I think I was just like a crazy kid on wheels, you know. Mm-hmm. But yes, I had no idea how to roller skate. I had a brief stint of trying to rollerblade in high school, and I have the scars to prove it, and it didn't last very long. So yes, so I had to be taught how to roller skate when I first joined.
Why were you rollerblading in high school?
I think someone bought me rollerblades for
Okay.
like like a Christmas gift or something, and I was like, okay, like I'll give that a
Okay.
shot. But I lived in a really in a part of town where the roads weren't really finished. They were that
Mhm.
really like thick, rough, like asphalt type
Oh, yeah.
surface. And it was not really conducive for skating. So I just biffed it a lot. And I also lived in a house with a driveway that was like this. So even just to like get out of my driveway, I'd pretty much just like bomb this hill and eat shit. It was like, yeah, this is roller skating, right? So yeah, it was not good. So yeah. And then what do I hope to get out of this process? I just wanted a way to like reconnect with some of you guys, and I miss derby and I miss skating, and so it was like this was something I could do to kind of reconnect and refresh some of my knowledge and skills, honestly, before I kind of get back on skates fully. So it's not, without some selfish motivation, but also just to do something for the skating community, because COVID is rough and it's making it really hard to kind of stay connected to that part. So that's what I'm hoping. So who would like to go next?
Evil goes next.
All right then. So behind the name, I belong to a medieval history club that's also a reenactment group called the Society for Creative Anachronism. And I've been doing that almost 30 years. And so I of course, I went through a bunch of names trying to figure out what I wanted for myself, and everything was taken. Or I didn't quite know how to morph it, or I didn't want to just tweak a couple of letters to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a really great friend who's hilariously funny, and she came up with it. And it was just perfect. It was her first try. She's like, I think you should be Medieval Knievel. And I was like, that is perfect. It just sounds great, and it's me. And definitely, like you were saying, throwing yourself at stuff. That's what I do all the time. I'm just a try, dabble in everything and try everything kind of person. So it's kind of where that came from. Not super exciting story. And then I've been skating pretty much my whole life. I love roller skating when I was a kid. I did a lot of it. I went to a religious school and we weren't allowed to have dances. Instead, they sent us to the roller rink every time that there was like Sadie Hawkins or Valentine's Day or anything like that. We went roller skating. So I always loved it. But then of course didn't do it as an adult. Or only the few times that I did it, of course I was skating backwards and falling a bunch and again, just throwing myself at it. But a couple of years ago, TNT, Tiny Tyrant, is now engaged to the son of a friend. And so I knew the son growing up from him being a little kid. And we ran into them one night out a couple of years ago down at Howie's. And she said, I just joined the Derby League. And I said, oh, there's a Derby League. And then I went to the next recruitment night and that was it. But I've only been able to do like 4 to 5 months on each summer, like the first year, then the last year, and then this year there's been nothing. So I feel like I'm very far behind where I was hoping to be when I first joined. And that's part COVID and that's just part my life. So I want to be a stronger skater. I want to, I guess I feel pretty good about my skating skills, just staying upright and doing things like that. And I think my minimum skills are coming along, but I just don't know anything about derby. That's where I'm really lacking. So I'd like to learn more about how my skating skills can fit into or can transform into being a better derby skater. Although at this point, honestly, given my age, I just turned 53. I think I'm just past the window to actually be a derby skater. So I'm probably looking more at reffing. So it's just the more afraid of being broken part. So anyway, a little bit about me. On to you, Witta.
Do you have Aflac?
No, I have a lot of other insurance.
Yeah.
It's getting very expensive though. It's crazy now that we're, self-employed and paying for everything out of pocket. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So the story behind my name, it kind of evolved. So I first found out because I was looking for something to do, and there was a scrimmage on Facebook that was public, and it was at the Wolf Den. So I went and saw it, and I was so excited. I actually talked to one of my friends, and her and I were going to join, and she was going to be Crazy Czech, and I was going to be Hawaiian Crunk. And then I joined, and she didn't join, so I was like, fuck that. And then I was raising Black Widows, and that's what everybody kind of was shocked about. So I became Black Widow, and then we were skating one night, and Glitter said, "It's not really a derby name. If you were Wid Ho," and I was like, "Oh, you got me." So that's how I became Black Widow. Although I think I may be Red Widow this year or coming up.
Oh.
Um, I skated a little bit as a kid. I remember going to the skating rink as a tween often. Um, I did rollerblades because, yeah, that year we got rollerblades for Christmas, or it was really popular. And then I started, I think it was last year, 2019. I started in January, and then we kind of phased out. And I've just been going kind of off and on, not really getting much skate time actually. And so that's why I want to be on this as well, is because I feel like I'm behind. So yeah, that's where I want to get out of this process, is more skills, more knowledge. So that way, as I'm skating, I can make more informed decisions and kind of know what I'm doing. Yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you both. I
Yeah.
learned something. I didn't know. I knew, I think, a little bit of both of your name stories, but not the whole thing. So that's cool. And I didn't know so much about your history with skating. So that's
Yeah.
cool. But it sounds like you have similar goals as far as what you want to get out of this process. So that's excellent. That's helpful, right? Because it means we can sort of parallel process together. What I will say is, the thing about derby is you're never behind because it's fluid. So, like I know that feeling. Like I've had that feeling many times in my derby career for lots of different reasons. I've even had it since coming out of retirement, right? Like I was retired for 3 years, and then coming out of retirement, I very much had that feeling of like, oh, now I'm behind, right? Like I need to catch up. But it's so much about just you and your development. I mean, it's a team sport, right? But it's like you're only competing with yourself. You're only trying to improve your own skills. And so I'm glad that I heard that from both of you, because I feel like if you just focus there, like you're never behind because you're always just working towards your next milestone. So as long as you stay positive and like track, that's a big one. Track for yourself so that you can reflect and be like, hey, I couldn't do this 6 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, a year ago, whatever, right? And now I can. Like check that box for myself. So yes, I will encourage you, if you so choose, and if this is something you get something out of, journal. Even if it's just for this process, for like this 6 weeks, like write some of the stuff down, like even that you just chatted about, right? Like what you hope to get out of this. And I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, we will kind of do a little bit of goal setting once we get on skates. We'll do a little bit of like self-assessment and stuff, but I would highly encourage you guys to write some of this stuff down for you if that's a format that's comfortable for you. And we'll continue to check back in. All right.